The afternoon sun pressed heavily over Greenridge Park, turning the air thick and slow. Cicadas hummed from the trees, and long shadows stretched across the paved walking paths. Near a stone fountain, Lena Whitmore sat quietly in her wheelchair, a sketchpad balanced on her lap. Her fingers moved with purpose, capturing the curve of the water and the light dancing across it. At 28, Lena had learned patience the hard way. 4 years earlier, a reckless driver had shattered her spine and rewritten her life. What it had not broken was her spirit. Beside her lay Atlas, her service dog. The large shepherd rested alertly, ears twitching at every sound. His harness lay beside him, but his training never switched off. Atlas was more than support. He was independence, safety, and trust rolled into one living heartbeat. Lena smiled faintly and brushed her fingers through his fur. "Almost done," she whispered. His tail tapped the ground once, steady and calm. The piece ended when a white luxury SUV roared into the park lot, music blasting aggressively. 4 young men spilled out, laughing too loudly, dressed in designer clothes that screamed money and arrogance. They moved like the world owed them space. Their leader, Mason Cole, noticed Lena immediately. He nudged his friends, smirking. "Yo, check this out," Mason said, pointing openly. "Didn't know they let dogs loose in parks like this." Atlas rose smoothly, stepping in front of Lena without a sound. His body formed a solid barrier. "He's a service dog," Lena said firmly. "Please back away." Her calm only amused them. One of the boys whistled sharply, snapping his fingers. "Bet it bites." Another laughed and kicked gravel toward Atlas's paws. "Stop," Lena warned, her voice tightening. Mason stepped closer, crouching slightly. "Relax. Just having fun." Then, without warning, he shoved Atlas hard with his foot. The dog staggered but didn't attack. He growled low, protective. The laughter stopped. Mason's face darkened, insulted. "You think that much scares me?" Before Lena could react, 2 of the boys grabbed her wheelchair handles. The wheels locked abruptly. Panic surged through her chest as she struggled uselessly. "Let go," she shouted. Atlas lunged forward, barking fiercely. Mason answered with a brutal kick to the dog's ribs. The sound cracked through the park. Atlas collapsed with a cry that froze Lena's blood. She screamed as Mason grabbed her hair, forcing her head toward the fallen dog. "Watch," he hissed. "This is what happens when you don't know your place." And then footsteps began running toward them. 200 yards away, Ethan Cross adjusted his breathing as he finished his run. He never wore headphones. Awareness was habit, not preference. When a woman's scream cut through the air, followed by a dog's pained yelp, his body reacted instantly. He turned and sprinted, legs pumping hard across the grass. The scene registered in seconds. A woman restrained. A dog injured. 4 attackers. No hesitation. The first boy never saw Ethan coming. An arm locked around his throat, pressure applied perfectly. 3 seconds later he collapsed unconscious. The second turned in shock, swinging wildly. Ethan stepped inside the punch and drove his palm into the man's chest. All the air vanished from his lungs as he dropped. Mason backed away, terror replacing arrogance. "Hey, wait, we were just messing around," he stammered. Ethan's eyes were flat, unreadable. "You restrained her," he said calmly. "You assaulted a service animal." Mason scrambled to help his friends. Ethan pointed toward the SUV. "Leave. Now." They didn't argue. Dragging the unconscious boy, they fled, tires screeching as the vehicle tore out of the lot. Silence returned in waves. Lena sobbed uncontrollably, reaching for Atlas as he whimpered weakly. Ethan knelt beside them, movements precise, voice steady. "Is he safe with strangers?" he asked. She nodded through tears. Ethan pulled a compact medical kit from his running pack. His hands assessed ribs, breathing, pulse. "Bruised badly. Possible fractures. But he's alive." He wrapped Atlas carefully, murmuring reassurance. Lena watched, shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. "You're safe," Ethan replied. Then he noticed the red mark on her cheek. His jaw tightened. At the vet later that evening, the diagnosis confirmed broken ribs and internal bruising. Lena paid the bill herself. The next stop was the police station. The officer's demeanor shifted when she named Mason Cole. Her report was taken without urgency, filed quietly. No promises. No follow-up. That night, Lena received a call from a polished voice. A lawyer representing the Cole family. He offered to cover vet costs in exchange for silence. If she refused, lawsuits would follow. Witnesses would testify against her. The call ended, leaving her hands trembling. Her eyes fell on the paper Ethan had given her. She called. He arrived within minutes. Without questions he checked locks, reinforced doors, installed temporary alarms. Then he ordered food and made her eat. They don't get to erase this, he said simply. The next morning, while Lena stepped out briefly, someone broke in. She returned to destroyed paintings and a message sprayed across the wall in red. Next time it's the dog. Lena's call came through broken and hollow. Ethan arrived fast. One look at the wrecked studio told him everything. The threat wasn't random. It was escalation. We're leaving, he said firmly. Now. He moved Lena to a roadside motel, choosing a room with clear sightlines and controlled access. Atlas was brought from the vet later that night, bandaged and sedated but alive. Ethan barely slept. He knew they would return. Men like Mason didn't retreat. They retaliated. That night Ethan returned alone to the studio. The lights were off. The space smelled of paint, dust, and anger. He positioned himself in the shadows, every sense sharpened. The door creaked open after midnight. 3 figures slipped inside, flashlights slicing through darkness. They whispered, confident, careless. That confidence lasted seconds. The first attacker went down silently, disarmed and restrained before he could react. The second managed half a shout before Ethan slammed him into the floor, knocking him unconscious. Mason turned, panic flooding his face. You don't know who you're messing with, he shouted. Ethan stepped forward. I know exactly who you are. Mason swung a metal pipe. Ethan blocked, twisted, and drove Mason into the wall. Bones snapped under controlled force. Mason screamed as zip ties locked around his wrists. Lights flicked on. All 3 lay bound and helpless. Ethan made the call himself, reporting a break-in and assault in progress. This time the responding officers were different. Evidence covered the studio. Tools. Paint. Recorded audio from Ethan's phone. There was no escaping it. Mason Cole was arrested that night. His money couldn't outrun video, injuries, and witnesses who weren't afraid anymore. By morning the news spread quietly but surely. Charges stuck. Deals failed. Ethan returned to the motel as the sun rose. Lena sat awake, Atlas resting beside her. When Ethan entered, his arm was bandaged. It's done, he said. For the first time since the accident that took her legs, Lena felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Safety. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need details. She reached out and took his hand. Ethan stayed until she fell asleep. The rich boys who believed money made them untouchable learned a lesson they would carry forever. Power means nothing when it's challenged by someone who refuses to look away. Some protectors don't wear uniforms. They don't ask permission. They simply step forward when cruelty appears, and make sure it ends.